Only in America, baby, the USPS is weighing a decision to allow handguns to be shipped directly to consumers. Nowhere else in the world can you get weed and guns shipped straight to your door. Well, hemp, weed, the same thing right now under the current farm bill, but that's not going to be a thing here soon, unfortunately. Anyways, am I for or against this? And the answer is this might disappoint a bunch of left-leaning people or Democrats. My answer is I don't really care, and I will do my best to elaborate on that after we cover this story, because my position is kind of nuanced, and I'm going to break it down the best I can. Anyways, from the AP, USPS considers allowing people to ship handguns through the mail. In 1927, Congress passed a law barring the USPS from mailing concealable firearms unless they were licensed dealers in an effort to curb crime. In January, the Department of Justice revisited the 1927 law, calling it unconstitutional and arguing that it violated the Second Amendment, and urged the Postal Service to change its regulations. The Department of Justice said that as long as Congress chooses to run a parcel service, the Second Amendment precludes it from refusing to ship constitutionally protected firearms to and from law-abiding citizens, even if they are not licensed manufacturers or dealers. You know, I do want to point out like just how interesting it is how like literal or not even literal that Republicans take this, like hold the Second Amendment. Like when it comes to the First Amendment or literally any other amendment, they will like kind of twist it in whatever way they choose. But like the Second Amendment like clearly states like the what is it, a well-regulated militia has the right to bear arms, or whatever. I'm not a Second Amendment artist, but like it literally says a well-regulated militia, regulated, and militia. Like if you take that in its literal sense, like you can regulate guns as much as you want, and guns should really only be in the hands of like a militia or like the best thing, like the National Guard or something. Anyways, again, I don't really care. I just like to point that out. Anyways, last month, USPS proposed a new rule that would allow anyone to mail concealable firearms like pistols and revolvers. USPS currently allows some firearms like long-barreled rifles and shotguns to be mailed. However, they must be unloaded and securely packaged. Similar protections would be in place for handguns, which have evolved since 1927. The USPS said in a statement that it is reviewing public comments, which were due Monday, before making final changes. Under the proposed rules, someone could sell and ship a gun to a person within state lines. The rules are tighter for mailing guns across state lines. People could only mail it to themselves in the care of another person and would be required to open it themselves. That's designed to assist people who are traveling to another state where they might want to use a gun for recreation. The Department of Justice argues the patchwork of state laws around guns makes it difficult to take them across state lines for lawful purposes like target shooting, hunting, and self-defense. It said that in many cases, people have no ability to travel with a firearm, making mail the only viable method of transportation. Ford and other attorney generals in around 24 states sent a letter Monday urging USPS to withdraw the proposed rule, saying it will make it easier for people who can't legally possess guns, like people convicted of felonies or domestic violence, to access them. They also said it'll make it more difficult to solve gun crimes. They said the executive branch does not have the authority to ignore a law Congress passed, and the rule will override state gun laws. Well, I mean, that very good points. But like you see, when you have a president that just doesn't care about the rule of law and the Constitution and Congress, it's a moot point. And I'm sorry, but like, anyways, now my position on guns or lack thereof, again, it's very nuanced. Do I wish we lived in a country where gun ownership wasn't really a thing except for like extremely specific circumstances? Absolutely. You can't deny that we are unique in when it comes to mass shootings, school shootings, gun violence in general. But like, is this a fixable problem in America? Like the fact that there are so many guns in circulation? Absolutely not. It just isn't. And that's why I avoid getting too bent out of shape about gun control. I become a real moderate. Obviously, I believe in like the obvious basics like background checks, red flag laws, maybe even certain attachment bans, but I'm not too invested in that. Like you have way more guns in this country than people. Even if you went door to door to try to take the guns away, it wouldn't solve anything. There are just too many, and the black market would thrive. Would I be worried? Would I be worried about the "don't tread on me, come take my gun" Republicans fighting back if you did try to take their guns? No, no, absolutely not. Because as we've seen from this Trump's second term, Republicans are absolutely feckless pussies, dude. Like, it's not even close. They're not going to do shit. Anyways, I'm more of a believer of addressing the root cause of what leads Americans down the path of like violence in general, and that's fixing a broken system. We need to have Medicare for all. We need to have free college. We need to have a livable wage. We need public transport. We need a massive, and not most importantly, but very importantly, we need a massive investment in mental health treatment and mental health treatment facilities. Because in my opinion, addressing poverty just addresses so many things. It's like the root cause of like majority of America's problems, like when it comes to crime, drugs, even racism and bigotry. Like if you take care of people, they don't have to point to marginalized groups to be constantly blaming for their problems. And of course, they wouldn't have to, if less people are in poverty, you have like, people aren't going to turn to drugs to try to escape. They're not going to turn to crime. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm not going to sit here and actively really fight against like gun control. It's just, if I was in office and like my advocacy is never going to like center around gun control, I'm sorry. I'm more interested in addressing the root cause issues. Anyways, that's all I have for this one. I hope you have a fantastic weekend and I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.